when you were a kid, did you ever think you were gonna be mayor?
Nah, not really. I think when I was the first thing I remember wanting to be is a veterinarian because I used to watch like the vet shows on TV or something. I was like, oh man, they're like saving these animals. They're pretty cool. And over time, it just changed. In high school, I wanted to be a chemist. I realized I really was into like science and chemistry and everything. So that's what I graduated with. Got my degree in chemistry, and then while I was in college, I started getting more into politics. Started learning some of the immigration issues that were going on. Like at the time, it was kind of underground, and
Yeah.
I was kind of digging and trying to figure out what was going on. And through that, I think that kind of gave me more motivation to stay informed on what was going on, government wise.
Well, you were born in Mexico, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mexicali.
Shout out to Valle Mexicali.
Yeah. Yeah. We came over here when I was about 3 years old.
Three
So we've
years
been
old.
in Indio since about 93.
You thought the best way to help people was if you were in the room directly because maybe you saw maybe the local government or
Yeah.
weren't doing enough, weren't
I
talking about the
think,
right issues,
I
or
think I
what
just
motivated you?
realized, I think I just realized that we were kind of in a dangerous situation at the time, at least our community was. And for me, being an immigrant and not knowing that that was happening, I was like, how are people getting away with this without me that I'm like educated, right? And I don't even know this happening. So that kind of threw me off that I was like, oh man, there's a lot of stuff going on here that even us who think of ourselves as educated don't really know what's going on, right? And that's, I just thought that that was a bad position to be in, to be having those kind of problems in our community and not knowing about it. So started learning more and more, and I feel like every year I just learn more. I just keep going and going and seeing how much we can figure out, and now being able to step into some of those spaces and being able to be one of the voices or one of the votes in some cases on decisions, not necessarily on immigration because that's federal, right, instead of city, but even now getting into regional decisions, right? Like, so right now I'm the representative for Indio in the Coachella Valley Energy and Environment Committee,
Yeah.
and then I'm the chair for that committee. So I run those meetings, and then
What is that department? What is it? What does the department do?
so we kind of make decisions. That's kind of all the cities in the Coachella Valley,
Hmm.
CVAG. So it's all the cities in the Coachella Valley plus like the county and the tribes, and we kind of make decisions together on some of the funds that we have pulled together as cities, right?
That affects
So
like the whole Coachella Valley,
yeah,
this surrounding area.
yeah. So we'll invest in certain projects. A lot of the projects that you see, like bridges or roads and stuff like that, that interconnect the area, we'll fund together as a region.
We have individual cities, of
Yep.
course, Indio, Coachella, but I feel like we're just a big city. We're the Coachella Valley, but it's one big city. That's the way I
Kinda.
look at it.
Yeah.
I like to look at it that way.
Yeah.
It's
It's one big region.
yeah, it's a region,
Yeah.
like in
And then so from there, I'm the chair of that committee, but I'm also the representative for the Coachella Valley in the Southern California committee. So then we get to make decisions with all the people that come together for Southern California and get into those conversations and being able to influence those conversations, how they go, or voting on those decisions. So that's
that affect
also,
more like Southern California,
yeah,
Riverside, Inland
yeah,
Empire.
from LA all the way to Calexico.
That's crazy. So when you go to these meetings, like how does these meetings? How often do they happen? And what kind of topics are you guys like discussing right now that people should
Um,
be aware about? Or stuff?
so for the city council meetings, we do twice a month. For the regional meetings, usually once a month. And so right now, for example, in the Southern California Energy and Environment Committees, we were talking about the importance of urban greening for climate resilience. So as temperatures get hotter, how important it is that, like, one of the things that we've been pushing for a long time is removing the grass, right? Because the lack of water. So removing the grass, so we're not putting so much water into outdoor use. But then now they're also saying, well, at the same time, we have to plant trees, because if we don't plant trees, once we remove that grass, you create heat islands. And as the temperatures get hotter, your neighborhoods are actually going to get hotter and hotter too, right? And so you have to not just remove the grass, but plant new things, native plants, native trees,
Things that take less water.
things that take less water but provide more cooling effects, right? And then the other thing that you have to keep in mind is when you look at high income areas and low income areas, you'll see a lot more trees in the high income areas. And so those areas are kind of already a little more prepared for the heat that's coming, right? Because they have that infrastructure, urban green infrastructure, which is big shade trees, cooling, effects in there. Whereas in some of the more low income areas, you won't see very much shade or very much trees. And so those areas are going to get those heat islands, and their temperatures are actually going to be hotter.
I've heard of this topic. People always complain about golf courses.
Hmm.
Every time there's like, out they're removing lawns and this, but like golf courses, they're able to continue to exist.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel like because it's more affluent people that go to golf courses, that that's like a lot of wasted resources. Is there any discussions you guys have when it comes to golf
Yeah,
courses?
definitely. I think when we do get into those conversations, because I agree, right? That's way too much water, especially for the conditions that we're in. But then you get the people saying, well, how many jobs would you lose without those golf courses, right? So I think it's also important that as we shift away from those kind of businesses, we're providing better businesses, right? For people to, so what is there going to be for people to do out here? So are we going to create more trails? Are we going to create more parks, better parks, right? So I'm always, instead of just saying, hey, I want to get rid of these golf courses, I'm saying, hey, let's get better parks, and let's get people into the parks where it's more accessible, right? If we're going to use those water resources, which we don't have much of now, right? Let's use them in the right way where it's going to be beneficial to a bigger part of our community that can enjoy that. Yeah.
And right now, you guys are developing like a new park right here on Jackson, right? There's like a new. Is that where the new
The
park?
sports park, yeah.
Sports park?
Yeah, we got a grant from the state there for I think it's $8.5 million. So we'll be able to do some soccer courts, football courts, baseball.
And
there.
is there like studies of like parks? Because I always see whenever a city is like starting to develop and remodel and do this, like they always start with parks. Is there like a study behind that, or is there like a purpose behind a park, or?
No, I think I mostly just go off of the community feedback, right? If you go into our neighborhoods, people are going to tell you that the parks haven't been kept up well in the past, and we don't have enough, shade. We don't have enough of those amenities that people need. So in Miles Park, for example, we just had a big open field and nothing really there for people to
No
do,
one ever
right?
used it, right?
Yeah, so we just, when we came in, we put in the soccer goals there. So now we got soccer teams coming out, getting more foot traffic in there. We just designed a dog park that we're going to be putting at Miles Park. We save money for a skate park as well. So once the building there goes away, that'll get demolished eventually. Once we get that done, we have money saved for a skate park there too. So putting, a lot of times we've had issues at Miles Park in the past, right? So through studying, reading other books from other people that have run cities before, realizing that one of the best ways to make a place safer is actually increasing foot traffic. Because when you don't have that foot traffic, it's just so much easier for people to
Bad actors to start showing
do
up to
illegal
these
thing.
areas.
Nobody's watching, right?
Yeah.
But if you have enough families there, then those problems will go away. Those to more secluded places, right, where nobody's watching.
The fringe areas of town.
Yeah.
Is that where you guys are trying to develop downtown? Bring it back to life, because for the longest, I mean, since I can remember growing up here in Indio, downtown Indio, it looks cool. Like it has like that old school feel.
Yeah.
There's some cool murals, some old school stores, but there's no foot traffic.
Mhm.
For the longest time, it's just been kind of an isolated place. But I started hearing and seeing that there's a lot of development happening. Do you have Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on downtown Indio?
Yeah, so we're luckily in a good position right now where we're able to invest in a lot of our properties down there. The city owns a lot of those properties in some of those spaces. So now we've been able to make some good sales there. We're getting some apartments built there. We have 5 restaurants coming just on Miles Avenue. I got to give a shout out to Eric too, who was running the food truck park there for a while. He really brought a lot of that initial foot traffic to downtown and got some more attention down there. So that was really helpful too. But we also invested into some of those properties that we had there for restaurants to really get them ready for people to come in, right? I think before, because we didn't have the money, we had to put it on the business, right? Hey, if you want to come in here,
you have to invest and redo all these.
There's a lot to fix.
Plumbing,
right? Those are old,
electricity. That's from the 40s and 50s.
There were some old buildings, some old ACs, old plumbing, all that kind of stuff. And so now we've been able to partner up with those businesses and say, hey, we'll fix it up. The parts that belong to the property, right? There's things that are fixed there that aren't going to go away. We're going to own those anyway. So we'll fix that part up. You guys put the improvements in for the signage and, decorations, all that, and those investments. So together we'll invest into these properties and get those businesses going.
And those kind of businesses that are happening, you said 5 restaurants. So are they all like local or in chains, or what kind of
There's a lot of
restaurants?
local ones. So there's the Desert Beer Company is going to come in and do a pizza and brewery right there where the Chamber building used to be at. Gabino's Creperies coming from Palm Springs. The owner of Little Bars making Indio tap room. So it's going to be a sports bar there. And there's actually going to be a hidden Italian restaurant inside that sports bar. Where there's like a different door that you go in.
Like a speakeasy type
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
that
going to be
sounds
pretty
really cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Avenida Music's going to be doing a little bar there with some music themed stuff going on there. So yeah, it's going to be building up here pretty soon. And we got the food truck showing up on Fridays. We got
Foodie Fridays.
second Saturdays. We're
And they're
doing
building a
concerts
permanent
there.
stage. You're doing a permanent stage for
We're going to
second
be building
Saturdays.
this. Yeah, we're building the permanent stage for second Saturdays, but also other events, right? If people want to hold events, they'll be able to rent out that space, or we'll be able to use it for whatever other city events we got going on. Desert Underground, maybe.
Yeah.
Nah, just kidding.
Exclusive.
Yeah.
No, yeah, yeah. I've talked to somebody from the city, like
Mhm.
trying to see if we could do a show there. But no, I'm excited because that's what downtown's been needing. And
Yeah.
I was there when Eric was trying to do the city food truck stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the timing was off because it was right following the end of the pandemic.
Yeah. It was
And
tough.
it was
hard.
it was so hard. People were still
Yeah.
didn't want to go outside. People were still scared.
Mhm.
It was just kind of bad timing, I think.
Yep.
And now you have the Foodie Fridays. Now, when it comes to the Foodie Fridays, there was also some online discussions because the food trucks used to pull up like on Indio Boulevard, a few weeks ago.
Hmm.
And people were saying like they were kind of doing it on their own. I don't know how they got into the parking lot, but then the city kind of shut them down.
Mhm.
And you guys provided the Foodie Fridays, gave them a spot on Friday. But why can't like a food truck just pull up and start selling like on the side of the street, or why would someone get shut down?
I'll give you an example, right? So we had outside of one of our businesses that sells like fruit and ice cream, that kind of stuff. They called me one time and they said, "Hey, I got a fruit vendor who's setting up right outside my store. He's on the sidewalk right in front of my store, and he's taking my customers. He's like, he can do it cheaper because he doesn't have to pay rent. He doesn't have to go through the health department. He doesn't have to have a city license. He just posts it up, and it's happening all over our city, right?" And so I had to really think about that one because I got a lot of pushback on that too, because they're saying, "Hey, that's our people. They're making money and stuff too." It's like, yeah, but the restaurant owner, that's our people too.
Yeah, they also
And
employ
they're
a bunch
saying,
of
"Oh,
people.
well, you're not supporting our Latinos." Like, the owner's Latino too. You know, hey, it's the same thing. But when we started looking at it, it's like, hey, who's like, do we really gonna be able to let people set up in front of somebody else's store, right, and steal that bit without having to pay the same fees and everything? And it's kind of a shortcut, right, for some businesses. So what we did is we changed one of the policies to say if you have a private residence, you can do that, right? If you own the property, you can set up on that property if you have the right permits, right? The health permit, business license, that's okay. But if you're on public property, you can't do that, right? You can't just set up. And that was a state law that the state was allowing it to happen through the state, right? That you can set up if it's a public space, you were able to vend. But for us, we're like, no, we have to change that. So we changed the policy in India to say that can be done on private property, but on public property, you can't do that. You have to have permission from the owner there that owns that piece of land to be able to set up. And so that's kind of what happened. Part of what
Part
happened.
of it, yeah. No, it does make sense. Yeah, because it is true. It's a lot of the same business owners that own a lot of the businesses here in the city. They are Latinos, and they also provide a lot of jobs too. Because there's waiters, there's all the staff that goes into a restaurant.
And think about the money too, right? If they're coming from LA, those people don't own those businesses, right? They're getting managed by somebody. They might not be paying minimum wage. They might not be, doing things by the book because they don't have licenses, right? They don't even have a business license, any of that stuff. And so that money, that's not an Indio business. That's an LA business or wherever it's coming from.
I've been
right?
seeing that. So have you guys been cracking down on these? I saw some report from the news that they're saying these LA people, they just kind of scout the area, then they drop them off. You're like, here, this is gonna be your corner. You're here all day selling whatever, and then they come back at the end of the night, pick them up, whatever. Is that like, are you guys kind of cracking down on that, or?
Well, I think that
somebody to
stopped a while
enforce?
back when we started enforcing that you couldn't do it on public property, right? That you had to go into a private space. I think that kind of got rid of a lot of those businesses, those types of businesses.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think
It was
it's like
hard,
you see
yeah.
somebody outside, you're like, oh, cool, they're hustling. It's better. I always support somebody that's hustling because we could all just sit at home and watch Netflix and give our time away to bigger corporations. And it's all about attention,
Yeah.
and instead of them, doing nothing, they're out there hustling,
Yeah.
trying to make some money, whatever their situation is. So I appreciate street food vendors. And Foodie Fridays, gives them the space. We were able to go a couple of weeks ago. We were there recording,
Yeah.
helping
And again,
create
you'll
some
still see a
content.
lot of vendors on private properties, right, where they have permission from the owners there to be set up and they have their licenses. They're still running.
Okay, no, thank you for clarifying that, because I know a lot of people were asking
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Another question I had is, so you said there's 5 restaurants happening. There's video music. There's that. What about is there any plans for like the library or the city
Yeah.
hall? Like, because those buildings are kind of old already.
Yeah, they were really old, so they are really old. But there's 3 of them that we're rebuilding. So 2 of them are in downtown, which is going to be the library and the city hall. So we're rebuilding those. Those are under design already, and then also the public safety building for the police and the firefighters. We're rebuilding that one as well. And both, all 3 of those were not even up to codes for earthquakes. They were really old, as you're saying. Didn't really fit. Our employees have been growing a lot, right? Our dispatch people were in trailers out there, so we really had to, now that we're in a better economic position, as I was mentioning, put that investment down, get some bonds in, and make that investment for those new buildings.
And speaking of like a better, you guys get a lot of funding through like the big festivals. Like, you guys get a lot of revenue coming from the big festivals. Are they invested a
Yeah.
lot in the city? Like the roads and the bridges,
Yeah,
putting lights on 48.
I think they'll bring in, I think it was 7 million total that's estimated, but I think 2.5 million directly from ticket sales. But our total budget is closer to over 100 million just for the general fund.
That's
But
for the city,
yeah,
so 100 million. So speaking of the big festivals, I wanted to touch up on something. The city of Indio has, you guys permitted Golden Voice to do 5 big events per year or something like that.
yeah, they have in their contract they're able to do up to 5.
Up to 5 big
Yeah.
events, and now they have Power Trip coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds exciting, because they
Should be
haven't done
fun.
anything since 2016.
Yeah.
Just like, of course, we have April. They're dominated. They dominate just the whole Coachella Valley.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, for a month
That's the focus.
we double the amount of people that come to the valley. The
Yeah.
hospitality business is growing. But how does that affect like short-term rentals, or what's do you guys have any debates or things that you talk about when it comes to short-term rentals? Because
Yeah, for
a lot
sure.
of people feel like they're getting, they can't afford the market. They're trying to buy their first home. They're starting a
Yeah.
family. These people are buying, homes and doing short-term rentals and stuff.
Yeah, so when we were redoing the short-term rental policy about a year ago, I think, and my suggestion was that, because the argument is they do bring a lot of revenue, right? Millions in revenue because of the TOT tax, the transient occupancy tax, which is the same as the hotels. Hotels pay that too. But also we need a balance, right? Because like you're saying, if you're in a housing crisis and all the houses are being bought up by corporations, it's just such a negative impact on our community, especially with displacement, overcrowding in homes, homelessness, right? And so looking at that, my suggestion was that we should grandfather in the ones that already exist so we can keep that revenue coming in, right? The ones that are already there, let's leave them alone, keep them going. But any new ones should be, you only get a license if you own the home and live there. You can rent it out a couple times a year, right? So you could rent it out for the concerts, maybe a couple events, but let's put a limit so that those are actually full-time residents and they live there. Because the other thing is, people are saying, hey, well, my neighborhood now, my block is like a commercial center, right? It's not like a home. There's strangers everywhere. That's not a neighborhood.
Yeah, you don't know the neighbors.
That's not a
It's
community,
yeah. No, that makes sense.
And
Limiting it to homeowners.
yeah, but I got voted out, so I can't. That was my suggestion. I wasn't able to get that through.
So what's like the policy now?
Anything goes.
Oh, it's just free for all. So the city of Indio is just anybody could just rent it out, Airbnb every weekend.
If they get a license, right? The licenses that we did have to bring the license cost up because of all the enforcement, all the issues that we were having with people, and we also had to build the streamlined way online to get the permits and all this stuff. So the price did go up significantly when we did that policy, so that we could hire more court enforcement, and so we could do that online database where people could sign up and connect with all the Airbnbs and all that kind of stuff. And now it's a little more streamlined and getting there.
How do you feel about Coachella just like as a fan or as a person that likes music, how did you go to Coachella? You went to
Yeah,
Coachella this year?
yeah, I saw you there.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah,
No,
it's
yeah.
fun, man.
So,
I think it's. I
what
mean,
was like your? Is it you've been to Coachella before? Let
yeah,
me see.
yeah, yeah. I've been a couple times now, and it's just like really. Well, I don't really go to many other big festivals, right? But just I think the production there is very high quality, right? World class production of all these shows and everything. So it's just amazing to be able to have that in our backyard and be able to see some of the best artists in the world, right? Some of the biggest artists in the world come down here and have concerts and be able to enjoy that with some of our friends or families and stuff. So
No,
yeah, that's
it's
pretty
yeah.
good.
They have the music is just so much fun, and it's like it all happens here in the city. That's so crazy. What
Yeah,
was uh your favorite performance that you saw this year at Coachella?
I'll say Gorillas.
Gorillas.
Yeah, did you see it?
I saw it.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was a little bit far back on like the beer garden. I wasn't
Oh
really
yeah,
up
yeah,
close, you know.
yeah,
So I feel like I didn't really enjoy like being in the front.
yeah.
I don't know, but it was. I
That
had
was cool.
it was
Yeah,
cool,
I really enjoyed that one. That was good.
and ended up leaving. To be honest, halfway through their set because I went to see Metro Boomin at the
Oh,
Sahara
nice,
tent, so I didn't
nice.
get to finish the Gorilla set.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. Like too
Yeah,
many good artists
too
to
many
see,
good
right?
artists. The production's so good everywhere.
Yeah,
So
but
Gorillas,
that was my favorite one for
you were a
sure.
fan of them
Yeah, yeah,
since like
yeah. I remember listening to them when
Clean
I was probably in
Eastwood,
middle school
19.
or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
the
remember, I think when they used to do their concerts, they used to just put a screen, right? And it was just like, I think it used to just be animation. I thought that's what it was
yeah.
before, and nobody knew who they actually were, right? So I wasn't sure if it was going to be animation or they were going to be in person, but came out
So
in person.
I think they used to do like I think they would perform, but like the focus was on like the visuals. Yeah, because
Yeah,
other music videos. I
yeah,
don't know if they're the first, but at least it's the first one that I know was like a cartoon artist or
yeah,
a
yeah,
digital artist, I
yeah.
guess.
That was pretty cool.
Digital artist,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they just have a good mix of people, like different. It feels like different genres in one band.
Yeah,
Like, oh
no, they
yeah,
have so many instruments,
yeah,
and I think that's what's cool is like an artist like that when you see them live and they play all their, they're playing
yeah. And they
everything
got the
from
choir in
scratch.
the back and
It's just
everything.
like
It was cool.
damn, like it feels like a sick production.
It was really good.
Um,
They had a lot of guests come in too.
yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of guests, and that's what makes like Coachella so cool. Is just like you get these blends and these experiences that you might not get anywhere else, and
yeah,
it's here in the city. Maybe Power Trip should be cool too.
yeah. It should
I'm
be
excited.
fun.
Like first time these rock legends together.
Nice. You
Maybe
got
maybe
tickets?
for the last time.
You got your tickets?
No,
Or?
I haven't got my tickets yet,
Okay.
but I do plan on going because
Nice.
well, I create a lot of content for Coachella, so I'm like
Yeah.
I gotta cover another big event that's happening in the same venue. So
There you go.
I'll definitely be a Power Trip. The one I'm excited for is Iron Maiden, and I've never seen Iron Maiden,
Nice.
and like I used to have like long curly hair
Oh
in
yeah.
middle school, and she was a rocker fool.
That's funny.
So like Iron Maiden was my shit, and like Metallica, of course,
That's gonna be
ACDC.
cool.
It's just like a bunch of cool bands.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Ozzy Osbourne dropped out though. But
Yeah, I did see that. Judas Priest coming.
yeah, Judas Priest. It should be cool. I don't know. There's also like an expansion. Speaking of like the Empire Polo Field, they have the MLS. Do you know a little bit of what's going on there?
Not too much of the recent stuff. I think you mentioned something that they were gonna do an expansion or something.
Well, they had this past was it like December, January? I remember the
They had
timeline.
a little.
They
a
had
little
like
camp.
Chicharito and Vela,
Yeah, that was
Galaxy.
cool, man.
They all came here.
People
like,
really enjoyed that.
and we're a soccer community. And right now we
Yeah.
had a success because we don't have, for the longest time, because it's a big valley, it's a melting pot. So everybody moves into the valley.
Yeah.
You have people come retire here. You have people that grew up here, different walks of life. And when it came to sports, it was always, if you're a football fan, it's like, oh, a bunch of Raider fans. There's a lot of Cowboy fans, Chargers fans, 49ers fans. There's so many affiliations and soccer, whatever, basketball. But like we never had like a team. And now Acrisure Arena, they're like, oh, let's put a fucking hockey team in the valley.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, like everybody just like finally rooted for the same team. And like the support
Yeah.
from the community was
That was
crazy
pretty awesome.
for a hockey team in the
Yeah,
desert, bro.
so random, right?
Like what? Like
Hockey's what brought us together, of all things.
I know, but I think that's super cool. We finally have like
Yeah.
a sports team. I see people rocking like even at Coachella. I saw people with like Firebird jerseys and shit. I was
Nice.
like, It's hot as fuck, but I mean, fuck it, go for it, bro. Yeah, what do you think about like having a sports team?
It's good, man. I went to 2 games out there, checked them out. It's fun. It's good. It's always good when you have good community events that people can go out to, take their families to. That's one of the things that's really missing. You know, that I hear from a lot of people out in our communities. Like we need places to take our families to, or you can have family events or family outings, right? Because it's so hot out here too sometimes, and that brings us another venue that's indoors that's going to be bringing stuff year round for
Yeah,
families to be able
world
to
class
attend to.
concerts. They're gonna have like
Yeah,
some monster truck show. WWE's coming to town.
yeah,
That's super cool because
yeah.
I feel like everyone is a wrestling fan at one point in their
Yeah.
life. Like watching some
Yeah.
John Cena and fucking Triple H, and shit. D-Generation X.
That was funny.
You used to watch wrestling back in the
A
day?
little bit, yeah.
Who was your favorite wrestler back then?
I don't really remember too many. Goldberg. Goldberg was cool.
Goldberg, yeah, that feels bad. Yeah, I'm excited for Acrisure. Just well, actually, the whole valley. That's what I was saying. Like, there's more to do now. Now it's not only Coachella and Stagecoach. Now it's like maybe some October festivals, then some MLS games, some Acrisure Arena stuff.
Yeah.
The development in downtown India, people could actually have outdoor concerts. Like the second Saturdays,
That's been going good.
that's it's been going on for a few months, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. Now like people are actually in downtown. People
Yeah.
they have nothing to do on a Saturday. Before it was like the casino or stay home or
Yeah.
it's too. I don't know. It's been kind of like nothing to do. That's always been a thing with the valley. A lot of people have been complaining, especially summer. The valley's boring. There's nothing to do, and there's always been so much to do. I've always been like
There is,
a homer myself.
but that's the thing too, right? Like you can't take your kids to the casino. You can't take your kids to the bar. So like we need to build all these different things for families to be able to enjoy together and bring your family out and still be able to spend time with your family while you're going out, right? Yeah, I think that's really important. It's something I hear all the time. That it's just we want more places that we can have family outings too. So that's one of our ways to contribute to that with the food trucks every Fridays and then the concerts every second Saturday. It's also consistent, you know, so people always know that it's going to be there. So it's different than just trying to do an event here and there and having to market it out all the time. You know, now it's consistently people know that if you come on second Saturdays, they'll be there, have good music, chill, get some food, some drinks. And then every Friday we got the food trucks out there, like you said, so people can come all enjoy that at once and brings that community feeling, you know?
Yeah, it's one thing that's bringing everybody together. Is there something that you wish the city of India could do that maybe you're pushing for, or that you wish like, man, if we really had this program or this thing established, it would be just more beneficial, or something that you would like to change?
There's a lot of things.
So let me put the
I
scroll.
think some of the big things that I like, the things that keep me up at night, right? Housing is definitely one of them, right? We have about 800 units right now that we're in construction or in the process, right, for affordable housing developments, and that's one. And actually next week we're going to be discussing our pro housing designation. So we there are certain steps that we can take to improve the housing conditions in our city that actually allow us to go to the state and be eligible for more grant funding, because if we do a good job with our housing, we're eligible for more grant funding, which can help in other areas, right? Infrastructure, whatever it is, parks, that kind of stuff. Housing is definitely one of them. Second one would be electricity infrastructure. So a lot of people, you know, it's not really noticeable, but we are kind of maxed out on electricity. And we're kind of having these discussions with the power company because we haven't had any significant investments in the Coachella Valley. We don't run the power, right? That's kind of run by IID, Imperial Irrigation District, and actually all that voting power is in the Imperial Valley.
Okay.
And we're in a contract with them for 100 years, and that's going to be ending in 10 years. So right now, 10 years early, we're starting to get ready for those conversations, right? What's going to happen after 10 years? Well, one of the main focuses for me is that we need to have voting power, because we wouldn't be in this situation if we had voting power, right? And so being able to have voting power there, but we also formed a JPA with IID because there's kind of this political struggle that's happening there where we don't have enough money to keep up with the growth, right? But they won't raise their rates, because my theory is that in the Imperial Valley, if you raise the rates on power, you have to pump a lot of water, which takes a lot of power.
Yeah.
So all the farmers want the power to stay low to keep their prices down. Whereas over here, we have growth and we're losing business because we don't have enough power to hook people up to. And so the fact that they're not raising rates is actually hurting us here in a sense, right?
Is there another option? Like you said, that your contract ends. Is there some other energy company that you could go with, where the city could go with, or
I think
is that like
there's
a
a lot of different
monopoly?
options.
Like,
There was a study that the state did that kind of gave 5 different options of different governing structures that could move us forward. Right, stay this way as it is. We could have a joint voting board that would be Coachella Valley and Imperial Valley, right, together
more
voting,
regional.
or have separate ones, or we could do our own thing, or we could go with a different company, right? And so those are all options. But you look at Southern California Edison, which is another side, way more expensive, right? So that would really drain a lot of our residents' pockets if we went to that level. So we're trying to find what's a good in between, right? We don't want to be in the position that we're in, that we're losing business because we don't have enough power or projects, that we can't build new projects. We had a charging company that said, we'll put in free, I think it was 18 chargers they wanted to put in for free, and there was not enough power to get them.
Wow.
So we just lost that ability for 18 chargers in our downtown, right? Another company that was trying to come in, I can't say the names for it, but it would have brought probably 400 employees, probably $1.5 million a year. And we lost that because we can't have enough power, you know? So those are the kind of things that I'm always thinking about. Like, how are we going to move forward in that negotiation? We need to have voting power so that we have decisions on how our money is being spent, right? We also formed the JPA with them because that'll allow us actually to be able to raise rates in Indio and not the rest of the area, and keep that money directly back to Indio. So we can raise our own rates and keep all that extra money and build those substations while we wait for whatever happens in the future, right?
Yeah.
And even then, I know we're going to get pushback for raising rates on power.
No,
But,
yeah, that for sure.
So,
Yeah,
but that's why we're
emails, phone
trying to
calls.
get some education out early and saying, hey, this is the situation that we're in. We're losing because we don't have enough infrastructure.
That's crazy.
We're losing opportunities.
I never even knew that was a problem. Not
Yeah.
enough power. It makes sense. I mean, people talk about not enough. What about like, no, implementing like solar? Like we have so much empty desert, or is that deals with like tapping into the environment? And
No,
like,
well, that's the other issue that we see. And that's the other conversation that we're having, right? Because in Southern California Edison, they have better rebates for those solar panels. When you buy them, there's a way to pay, it pays off right over time. Whereas in IID, they're saying that because our rates are so low, that money's not there to go into solar. So if you actually look at Indio, Coachella, La Quinta, there's not much solar power, even on homes. That's a problem.
Yeah.
We could be, man, how much power could we be generating if we had solar panels?
It's 115 that time.
And so hopefully now, actually, I just found out about a grant for the Southern California Energy and Environment Committee that I was at, and they're saying there's new grants that are coming from the federal government for solar panels. And actually, because we formed that JPA, we might be able to apply for it ourselves.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. And get that through the city.
It has to, bro. Especially we're in the dry ass desert. Like,
yeah,
you would think that would be.
It just doesn't make financial sense right now for people. So we got to make it make financial sense. So that's the other thing, right? Looking at where are the gaps that are preventing us from getting to these things, and trying to fill those gaps in different ways, and collaboration too, right? Like, hey, right, I'm working with the company at least 10 years, right? So let's make it work. How does it work for you guys? And so we said, hey, your farmers don't want to raise the rates. We'll raise them here, raise money for ourselves so we can keep our city growing. And then you guys can do whatever you want. Yeah.
And then Indio's one of the fastest growing cities. So like you're saying, so there's more development, that people want more development, and we just don't have the power. We have to wait, or what's like the.
I think that will help us actually. What we're planning on is a method that would help us raise over 30 years, $50 million, and that would help us pay for 4 substations up front and be able to build 4 new substations to get more power out to the city. It's also for safety reasons, because if you don't have any, I forget what the term is now, like a backup, right? If there's no backup substation, then if your station goes out, there's nowhere to send that power to. There's nowhere to fill in.
Yeah.
So building more substations is actually going to be also a safety. We're we're getting 120 degrees here
Power
pretty soon,
outage. Yeah,
you get a power outage. If we had those extra substations, you could switch it and put it into the extra one. We have no extras, you know? And so that's another thing that we're looking at. So that's one. That's another one.
Another one.
Third one, I think probably what we talked about a little bit earlier is water conservation and just sustainability in general. Just getting to a more sustainable way of running our city, and that's why we're working on the turf removal programs where we pay people a little bit of money to take that turf out, and now we're going into increasing that rebate. So right now it's $2 per square foot, and we're looking at changing that policy to give you more money, but require you to put in trees.
Trees,
too.
Yeah. So use the same rebate to plant trees, and trees are they're just game changers, bro. Like
they are.
You
saw all the trees we put in downtown, right?
Yeah, that was so sick there. So second Saturdays,
we're also putting them where the food trucks are at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're adding.
I think I saw people kind of like they're working there. I think just being around more nature, because we're still, even though we're developed and whatever, we're still like, I always feel like we're still on this earth, on this planet. Like we have to remember that we're grounded,
Yeah.
Sometimes we think of everything as a city and this and that, but like, no, like there's nature. Like let's bring back some nature. It's not just concrete and fucking buildings.
I work in conservation, right? So I'm learning a lot about native plants. And so say a palo verde tree, right? Uses very little water, but they're able to grow pretty tall. And actually the beans that they give off are edible.
Oh, wow.
We don't even know that. And we got them beans everywhere, they actually taste like edamame.
Oh, shit.
And
I don't know what edamame tastes like, but I'll take you.
It's like those little kind of like green bean looking things that they give you at the sushi spots.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Tastes like that. And they're actually really good. I was eating them this year because I just found out and I was like, oh my God. I was picking them everywhere and they're so good. Man, why do we not know this?
What about like, maybe it's a dumb question, but why don't we have just like trees that like fruit trees in the city where like if there's people who just get fucking oranges or whatever?
We could. I think the thing
is there like laws against that? Why don't
I think the thoughts in the past were that when those fruits fall and if nobody picks them, they just rot on the ground, right? I think that's been an issue before because I've heard that actually with the palo verdes, right? They're like, oh, they throw off all this trash. I'm like, hey, man, that's food actually. But I think we just got to start rethinking those kind of things, right? Even mesquite trees. So there used to be mesquite groves in the Coachella Valley, like whole groves of mesquite trees. Like, when's the last time you saw a mesquite grove?
Yeah, you don't. They're super rare.
Exist, So one of my dreams, one of my visions, imagine if you drive into a neighborhood and it's a mesquite grove, right? Like there's mesquites and like all the birds that naturally live here can live in those mesquites and use that for food and all these different things. So. And they provide shade, use very little water, firewood. Like they're just very useful.
Yeah.
So there's just really smart ways that we can use our water. We can use our water in much smarter ways to benefit our community with food, with shade, cooling. You put it on if you angle it right for your house, it'll shade your home.
Keeping the temperature cooler, you use less energy. It's just all part of the same ecosystem.
Yeah,
it's all interconnected. Yeah. What about like water? Is there any concerns more like on the region level of the amount of water that, like, are we gonna be able to survive another 100, 150 years? Like, are we consuming too much? Are we growing too fast? Just in Southern California, because it's also super dry. There's a lot of
Yeah, I think the furthest out that I've seen the plans, at least that, because the state requires that you plan for a certain amount of time, right? And so we do have a 20-year plan, and we are taking into account the Colorado River water and the droughts that are coming, and trying to keep all those models current, and seeing, is our groundwater going to go up or is it going to go down? Right now, we're able to. It's actually been growing over the past couple of years. Actually, been filling up more and more, but we used a lot of Colorado River water to put into the ground, right? You know how that works?
Not really. So
we probably in the Coachella Valley probably bring in, I think it's 300,000 acre feet. Acre feet is like an acre, a foot deep.
Okay.
So if you think about a football field,
a foot deep of water,
300,000 that we take in from the Colorado River, right? And we're just one region, right? And all these different states are grabbing water out of this river, and now it's drying up, and that's why we see Lake Mead You see Lake
Yeah,
Mead,
I've
where it was
seen
super
that
low and
timelines. Yeah,
everything. So it's because we planned this out a long time ago when the water levels were different. Now the water levels aren't the same.
population was it's way smaller too.
It was, but then also just the rain, the droughts. It's just changing.
Yeah,
That the water flow is changing there, and we've already dried up the Gulf out there too. That water all used to go to the Salton Sea and the Gulf. So if you can imagine, it used to come south through the Colorado River, and it would go to the Gulf of Mexico, right? But eventually, you would have buildup that would change the course of the river, and then it would go to the Salton Sea. And every couple, I don't know if it was every couple 100 years or something, it would switch back and forth, and that's why we had the Salton Sea. A lot of people say the Salton Sea started in 1905 when this levee broke,
yeah,
but it wasn't filled because the levee was there. The
yeah,
levee was stopping the water from coming for a long time. But that is a natural body of water, right? And that's what we see all those lines on
yeah.
the
Where all the
mountains.
fish traps and
Yeah,
there's still like Native American fish traps, right?
yeah,
From what, like 200 years, 300 years ago.
yeah, probably more.
I remember. Well, I took like a natural resources class, and they took us to the fish traps. Like it's still there.
Yeah,
They put the rocks.
I've been working at a site that has some fish traps there. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
Oh, you
So,
say we're gonna sign? And they also have like You said there was also like cave drawings or something.
petroglyphs. Yeah,
Petroglyphs,
petroglyphs
and you guys
there.
are trying to make that into like a tourist area where people could come visit and learn about the
It's,
area.
it's more an educational center for
Education.
that's through the nonprofit that I'm working with, but that's more of an educational center where we'll be able to teach about Kauai history and also teach about sustainability and kind of try to tie those two things. At that.
So what's the nonprofit that you are part of?
That one's a Friends of the Desert Mountains.
So what do you
Yeah.
guys do exactly?
So I'm the director of education there. So I work on building out different educational programs for all kinds of different ages and going out and doing environmental education with our community. It's pretty fun. I
That's
like it,
cool.
yeah.
How could regular people just sign up for these things, or
We
what are
have
you guys doing? Like, do you guys do like little tours? Do you guys do classes?
we
What
have
is it?
different things. We have a program that we do with Coachella Valley Unified, and so we'll go there and do classes with their elementary schools, and then we'll take them out on field trips, teach them how to do like safe hiking. How do you go hiking safely, right?
Yeah.
What are the things that you need to bring? How do you staying away from animals, that kind of thing. And then also, so I'm working on developing. I did a water lecture last year, so teaching people all about this water, right? How does the
Yeah.
water work in the system? I'm working on a climate change one now to show the impacts locally of climate change and how we can see the patterns here locally changing our
What are some of
environment.
the patterns that you've seen that
So
climate change is changing locally?
I haven't got that onto that part of the lecture yet, but I'm working with UCR because they do studies out here already. And so they're seeing like different species of animals and plants that are moving higher to higher ground because the temperatures on the desert floor are a lot hotter now. So they can't survive at this level. So you're seeing a shift.
They're migrating little by
Yeah,
little.
they're
That's
migrating
crazy.
little by
So
little.
plants move too, like that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So I'm
That's
telling
one
you.
of the changes that we see. But yeah, I got to meet up with them a little more and learn more about that. But we're working with the Union of Concerned Scientists, which have some research on global climate change, and then, hopefully tie it into local climate change and be able to teach our community about both of those, right? What's happening globally, but also what's happening locally.
It's important because, like, I don't know nothing. Like, I don't know. I feel like we're just so disconnected from, like, we're so disconnected from nature, just
Yeah.
as humans. We're too busy working and all these distractions. But I mean, we're still apes, I like to say. We're fucking animals, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And people really want that education too, right? When we did our water lecture, we actually had
that sounds really cool. Like,
and we had like 300 people show up for the first one at the Rancho
like I
Morales
really
Library.
haven't heard of some of these events, but like I'm curious. Like, I want to go to the next whatever meeting you
I'll
guys
let you
have.
know,
Or
I'll let you
yeah,
know.
for sure we'll be posting about it, so you guys
Yeah.
stay up to date, because it's like I think everyone kind of like wishes they were more aware of programs or things that are happening,
Mhm.
but it's maybe a lack of it's because it's too much distractions going. It's always the distractions. When we wake up, we pick up our phone.
Yeah.
You're checking, social media, your email, your messages, who
Yeah.
called me, who
Uh,
liked my photo.
But see, I think our job is to be better than the distractions, right? So it's like when you open your phone, I'm gonna be on there too. We posting on there, putting all the information from the city and everything.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about earlier, just getting the community engagement portion of our city better, right? I think we've been improving that a lot and being active on social media, being active on marketing, being active on Spanish marketing, providing Spanish agendas so that people can participate even if they don't know English and know what's going on in the city, right? I think you've seen I post every time we're gonna have a meeting, I post the main parts of the agenda, right? So everybody knows. And I don't think that really was being done before. So everything was kind of happening without much education, right? So I
Yeah.
think we're slowly but surely like bringing that education more and more, whether it's on the city side or conservation side or water and all that. To me, like that's one of the most important things. Getting good education and community engagement. Without good education, we're not going to get anywhere
Yeah.
because you're not going to be able to get the votes for water conservation if people don't
They
understand.
don't even know what the hell's going on.
They don't know what it is, right?
It's
You're
it's
not
a
gonna
lack
be
of
able to
awareness, lack
urban
of
greening.
yeah.
Like I said, we didn't even know about the Palo Verde trees, which are all over the city. You know, it's just great. And mesquites actually have food too. Those are edible too.
Yeah.
So just like
People buy those too. Like I know there's people that sell
Oh really?
because I think they're kind of rare. Or people don't even know.
Oh wow.
They're just a lack of
Yeah.
information. Again, it's all
Yeah.
about lack of information, and we live in the information age. So yeah, we got to do.
I just
more
wrote
ways
up.
to.
I just wrote up a grant to be able to do a program where we would do a lecture on native plants, and then give people food as incentive to show up, right? And then also give them 2 free trees, which would be like mesquite trees, palo verde, something like that, and teach them how to plant it and use it in their home, right?
Oh, that's super
Yeah,
sick.
that'd be cool. So hopefully I get it, but we'll see. That's what I'm working on.
That's super cool because again, we're so disconnected. Like, but also we had this period of where everyone was stuck in their homes, for a couple of years, and it's like a lot of people started going back to like learning how to like bake bread, learning how to plant your own vegetables. Some people even I know some friends that started like having quails and shit and like
Oh wow,
chickens, like
that's cool.
going back to more
Nice.
what you can't control, not just relying on going to the
Yeah.
big supermarket, the superstores. Like,
Yeah.
can I maybe plant some kind of tree that's gonna give me some fruits or some
Yeah.
I think again we have to go back to being more with nature. I
Yeah.
sound like a hippie and shit.
It's true though. I don't like.
The
I
hippie
forgot. I
background.
was talking to somebody the other day, and we're just talking about how all the solutions I have are all plants. And I was like, you want to cool your home, man? Plants. Do you want to save water? Plants. Do you want to get shade? Plants. Like food, plants. So yeah, there's so many different ways that we can use the natural resources here, right? And at the same time that we're helping ourselves, we're really helping our environment. So even when we think about, you heard about like Save the Bees campaigns, right? Well, what do bees need, right? The food that they have. What can we plant? The monarchs, right? The monarchs only they only do their cocoons on one type of plant, which is the milkweed.
Yeah.
So if there's no milkweed, I got no monarchs, And so teaching people about that, and I think making those connections too, people will help us in that education process, right? Like, hey, if you grow this right, a monarch might might live here, And it just makes a different connection with people. It's like, oh, this type of tree is for this type of birds, which are like native here too, right? Like for this area. So kind of repopulating our natural environment through those plantings of native plants and also cooling our homes and water conservation. So
yeah, there's just
you just hit so many different things.
It's super interconnected. Yeah, we got to do a plant education, bro. Like,
Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure. Just keep us informed. See what ways we could help. Like, bring awareness to everything because, like I said, it's a lack of awareness. Like, we don't even know what's going on. What kind of policies? There's also like people don't push themselves to take interest in these things, maybe because it's not sexy or cool. It's not flashy. But you gotta like you said, maybe
you gotta make it sexy.
Make it sexy.
Nah,
make it. Plants are sexy, then. Poison ivy, then.
That's a good slogan. Plants are sexy.
Turn that shit on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Trademark that shit. So so you're helping with this nonprofit, but you have what other things that you're working on?
In my spare time, I have a small business that I'm working on too. It's all natural products due to plants. But how do we make natural products out of plants? And so I'm working a little bit on that. still pretty small business, but working on ramping it up. That's kind of like my extracurricular activity, but it's fun. I love that side of it. I came from the cannabis industry, so I've been working with natural
Well, you have a
formulas.
chemistry degree.
Yeah,
Getting in the lab and working with
yeah.
everything there.
And just from what I've learned, especially what I remember from my grandparents teaching me and how to use all these different plants and everything, I just find it so useful, to be able to heal people. When I was working in cannabis, being able to heal people with cancer or arthritis, and it's just a little plant in oil,
Yeah.
And it's like, man, this is so easy and affordable and much like it's just such a good option for a lot of people that need it right now, that without all these different side effects and everything. So just I'm happy now that it's accessible. I was working on that kind of stuff and way back in the day when it was not accessible to a lot of people, right? And you had to go through all those loopholes and everything, and just seeing that, that now people who need it just got to drive down the street and go get it. And I think that's really great.
Yeah, no.
Because of the struggles that I saw people go through. You had people who were, stage. I had a patient that was stage 4 lung cancer, and waited until the very end, till they gave her 2 to 6 weeks to live, right? And that's when she started using cannabis, and she actually gained 50 pounds back to her normal weight, and ended up living about 15 months after that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So seeing things like that, I was like, oh man, this is some cool stuff. We could do some really cool stuff with plants. Yeah.
There's magic in plants, bro.
Yeah.
Because we're connected with, like I'm saying, nature. It's just society disconnected us so much. Speaking of cannabis, there's still no dispensaries in India, right?
Not yet, actually.
So why is there no dispensaries in India? Because I think
we're in the process now.
We talked about it I think on the last podcast, and we were just saying like India residents, the biggest city with the most population.
Yeah.
Everybody here is going and paying and buying shit in other cities.
Yeah.
When they could be spending that money in their own city, supporting their own community, and like why is that again?
Well, right now we're actually we're in the licensing process. So they're in the appeals process. We've already scored everybody's applications and everything. So actually by next month, we should probably be seeing licenses going out, but then they still got to build out their facilities and everything, right?
Of course, yeah.
So we've just been in the process this whole time, but you got to build the policy, build the applications, give out the applications, score all the applications, go through the appeals process. So it's been taking some time, but we're getting there.
Oh, that's good.
It'll be, by this year we'll have people with licenses.
Yeah, that's gonna be big.
That's a lot of business that was leaving our community for a long time.
Yeah.
That was a lot of business that was leaving, and that was one of the big issues that we had when I came in, was the leak. They call it the leak rate, which is how much of your business are you leaking out to other communities, right? Because you don't have this business, so somebody's going to drive over here to get what they need. And to me, we were just adding on to that leak rate by not allowing cannabis, because now you have even more people leaving your community to get something that they need, and then they might stay over there to get their food or get something else or go get a haircut, whatever it is, right? So you're just leaking more business out when you're not providing those services here.
Damn, I never thought of that too. Yeah, you make a whole trip out of going out.
Yeah.
Even gas, you driving, you run out of gas, you stop at a gas station that's in that city. That's not part of the city.
I always pump gas in Indio. I'm like, get that tax money.
Actually, I want to bring that up because there was that they're building the gas station that's on Jefferson, Shadow Hills area.
Oh yeah.
So some people are like, oh, why a gas station there? There's one right over the bridge. Do you guys get some pushback on that? Or I saw some people in the community.
I think because it's next to the freeway, it kind of makes more sense there, because it brings so much money from people that are on the freeway and need to get gas and get off, right? So that is a big revenue when they're that close to the freeway. What I saw more pushback on was that we're seeing more concentrations in the low-income communities of gas stations. So you're seeing more of that pollution being concentrated in our low-income areas, right? And so I remember we had one gas station that was coming in next to one of the more richer neighborhoods, right? And they said, oh, it doesn't fit our
demographic.
Yeah, and I was like, yes, it does. Y'all pump gas, right? I was like, y'all have cars. Yeah, so we ended up approving that one, but that was a kind of a battle, because I was like, hey, we need to spread them out, But then on the other hand, there was a few that I've voted no on, because they're just so concentrated in some of the low-income communities near like Indio Boulevard or on that Monroe, coming off of Monroe, right? If you drive down that street, there's like 5 6 gas stations.
Yeah, it's
That
a lot. It's a. What about is there plans for like Monroe and Jackson bridges expansions? Because
yeah,
man, like the traffic is insane during rush hour. It
yeah.
just takes forever both ways. You know.
I think one of the things that I've kind of realized over time is when we developed North Indio across the freeway, we should have been putting money in there for those bridges. You know, there should have been some kind of fee for those homes that would have paid into
Developing,
expanding
yeah.
those bridges to keep up with that growth, but there wasn't. So now we're playing catch up. You know, each one of those bridges is about $90 million.
Oh wow.
That's our whole budget.
Yeah.
And so we have to go and find grants. We have to get money from CVAG, Coachella Valley, from the federal government, the state, whoever. Yeah, and we're just keep adding it up until we get to 90 million. And we got there with Monroe now, and now we're moving on to Jackson. And one of the things that I'm emphasizing in our grant applications, or that I'm telling our staff to emphasize, is that the air quality issues for Jackson, right, on the south side of Jackson, you have a lot of very low income areas there that already are struggling with air quality issues, and now you have all these cars lining up every day, right, and making those air quality issues even worse. And so we can use that in our application to say, hey, not only will this bridge make the flow faster, but you're actually going to be cleaning up the air for one of the most impoverished neighborhoods in this area, right?
How do you clean up air quality? Plant more trees and help with the traffic.
Plant more trees, but the traffic stalling there for, however many hours we have traffic after work or in the mornings and everything, all that, the more you have cars standing there in traffic, the more people are going to be breathing those emissions.
I remember there was a study that said that people live 10 years less when they live next to a freeway.
Oh, dang. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Like right there. Well, like they did a study like in the LA, all those homes are like right on the freaking 10, under the 10, or they're by like the Coliseum.
Yeah, can you imagine that many cars passing by your
Just
house?
millions a year, just, yeah. Even here, there's a lot of traffic here, and I'm just like, damn. Then I was thinking about that shit too. I'm like,
but now as we phase out into electric vehicles and hydrogen vehicles and that kind of stuff, emissions on an electric vehicle, not much, right?
yeah,
They'll be generated, depends on how you make the power, right? Right now, a lot of the power does still come from coal and gas plants, so it's not actually clean 100% yet, right? It all depends on how that power is made. But we're transitioning more and more into renewable power. So more and more of that power is renewable now. And then also with hydrogen, you know what the emissions for a hydrogen car is?
no.
Water.
Oh, shit. What hydrogen? Yeah.
Well, because when you make hydrogen, you're separating oxygen and hydrogen. And when you use that in the car, it connects back to oxygen and releases out as a water drop.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
so that's the emissions?
Yep. But it also depends, what energy do you use to separate that in the first place? The hydrogen from the oxygen?
Yeah.
If you're using gas and coal power,
it defeats.
You're still.
It doesn't defeat the purpose, but it's not as clean as it should be.
Yeah. So now you're seeing more and more of that being created by solar power. Actually, Sunline has a big solar panel field, and they use that power to separate their hydrogen. And they have hydrogen-powered buses. If you've seen them, I think their whole fleet's going to be hydrogen, like by next year or something. They just got.
They used to be powered on natural gas, right?
They had natural gas, hydrogen, and electric. They have all of them, but they're going more and more towards hydrogen.
Is that okay? That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because
we actually have a hydrogen fueling station in the Indio station. There's a big tank there that's full of hydrogen, and the buses can fuel up there.
That's so cool.
And we're working on getting a passenger one too, so that people can. It's different pressures for fueling a car and a bus. They take different pressures, and so you can't use the same fueling station for both. And so, but they're working on getting one so that you'd be able to fuel hydrogen cars there too. That'd be pretty cool. I'm kind of waiting on that. I want a hydrogen car. But then you have to look at the prices of hydrogen nationally, right? But there is work being done, even by the federal government, to bring down the prices of hydrogen over time. And I think that's going to help us because in electric vehicles, you still need a long time to charge, right?
Yeah.
So I think logistics gets kind of messed up with that because, companies are used to, you fill up in 5-10 minutes and you're off, right?
Yeah.
And now if you got to stay for 4 hours, then how's that going to mess up
Your
your
time, your
schedules and
travels.
all that, right? So with hydrogen, it's the same. You just pump it, fill up the gas tank, you're good to go. And even you could eventually power planes, trains. It can hold so much power, right, in that hydrogen tank without having to use gas.
Wow, that's I never even really considered hydrogen, and I never really looked into it to be honest. But
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
know
cool.
for electricity or electric cars, um, I've always wanted to get the Cybertruck. Whenever since that shit got
Which one?
announced, the Tesla Cybertruck.
Oh, dang.
Like I saw the reveal that they did a few years ago, and they were comparing like the hauling power from
Oh, dang.
like a more name brand vehicle
Yeah.
that's more established versus that one, like how much faster, how much more torque, everything.
Oh, wow.
The tires 4x4,
Oh,
and
dang.
because it's all digital, you could convert like certain things if you get stuck in like mud. And what I like about Tesla vehicles, they update.
Oh, wow.
So let's say they're connected
Software
to
updates.
yeah, they get software updates, so
Dang,
they
that's
get better
crazy.
over time. Like most of your cars now, you buy a car, that's it. You're not
Yeah.
getting the new shit. And Tesla's is like it's just constantly updating, and because everything's so digital, like 90 something percent of the cars digital, they have like two the emergency, I think the emergency brake and the emergency lights, and I feel like there's like three things that have to be that can be electrical because you can't have like failures in those areas
Mm.
for safety reasons.
Yeah.
But everything else is digital, so the computer's reading whatever's wrong. So like if your windshield's not working, the
Lets you know right
whatever. So
away.
like overnight, like it'll do like a bug fix
Oh,
on its own.
wow.
Or if your tires are misaligned, you'll get like an alert. Hey, you need if it can't fix it on its own, you could take it to a Tesla dealership, and they kind of work on that stuff. And it just sounds cool. It's like the future of cars, and also I think it looks cool. It's like a futuristic. People
Nice.
don't like the design, but
Nah, you
that shit
liked
looks
it.
hard. But it does the underground
I got a little
fucking
Subaru Forester. I
skinning.
like it. It's just like everybody's like, "Why?" Yeah, it's like, dude, it gets me anywhere. I can go through the desert. I can go in the mountains. I can go in the snow. I don't gotta worry about nothing.
Do you ever go like off roading and shit?
A little bit, yeah, yeah. Not like only if I gotta get to like trails and stuff, you know.
Yeah, nothing too
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. No, they're doing donuts and stuff. Yeah.
The razor fucking
Nah,
those razor events that they have in the desert.
I like the wild too much to be doing that.
Nah, I gotta go on one of them event hikes you do. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
We should go document the whole experience.
ooh, that'd be
We'll make a
cool.
vlog, vlogging with nature, learning some stuff. Yeah, bro. I really like what you're doing, and I like that you're very transparent with the people. You go live. I feel like I never really seen any other local politician do something like that. At least from what I see.
For sure. We're trying to keep everybody engaged, you know.
And what's next for Oscar, bro? What's next? How long is your term to be mayor? And what's your next step? Do you want to continue being part of helping Indio? Do you think maybe I want to go a little further? Have you been thinking about these things?
Yeah, definitely been thinking about it a little bit, but I think I still got 3 more years here. So I got this year I'll be mayor. We rotate every year, so I get 1 year, then I'll go back to being a council member for 3 more years. So I still got some time to think about what's next, you know. And yeah, I definitely want to make sure that we still have people here at the Indio City Council to be able to keep the momentum going, you know. So we're yeah, just looking for all the good opportunities that are out there to wherever I fit to help, you know. Like I'm always just how can we make the biggest impact? Um, I don't really see it as a necessity for me to be the candidate either. You know, I always mention that to people. If I find somebody who's a better candidate than me, then I'll support them. You know,
You just want to make sure
so I make
we
sure the
do good
community's
with
taken care
yeah.
of. You know, yeah,
And what's the
definitely.
difference between like a city council member versus like the mayor? Because you guys rotate every year.
Mhm.
Is that only in the city of Indio? Like other desert cities or
Other cities do
others
it.
do it too?
Yeah, other city. Everybody has kind of their own thing. Some cities will elect the
It's like a
mayor,
checks
right?
and balance power right there. Just
Yeah,
everyone gets like a
I
turn.
think it's kind of nice because everybody always has the same voting power. So there's nothing special too special about the mayor in Indio, right?
Yeah.
We always have one vote, but the only difference is like I'll run the meetings when we have city council meetings, and I'm kind of the first one to be the point of contact, right, for the city if we need some representation or whatever it
Yeah.
is. I'm the first one that gets called to show up and take care of that.
How was like your parents' reaction, when you became officially like the mayor, and like your family overall?
Yeah, I mean, they were all excited. I think everybody still trips out on it, right? Especially because we're from Mexicali and everything, and we kind of grew up like, we didn't have too much and everything, but we always had what we needed, So I'm always very thankful for that too. That growing up, I saw a lot of people who not always had enough food at home or a stable home and everything. To me, to be able to come home to a warm bed and a full stomach every day, to me was always a blessing. I saw a lot of people, especially back in Mexico too, that didn't have that. That were living with tin roofs and wooden shacks out there. So I was like, to me, I was always blessed, even though here, like, kind of considered like low income or whatever it is. I was like, nah, man, yeah, like, we got it good here. We got it real good, and I'm able to, like I said, be able to come home and go to school on a full stomach. How much does that impact you? I know that wasn't the case for a lot of my friends,
Yeah.
and so I always just feel really grateful for that. And that's why I'm always like trying to get back, because I was like, I know I got it easy. I know I got it easy, so I got to put in work for those who don't have it as easy as I do.
That's, you couldn't have said it any better, because it's a comparison thing. Like we people that grow up here, you look at what you see. Oh shit, people flashing. There's people that flash like supercars and jewelry or whatever, music, but the core is what matters. Again, we're apes. As long as you have food, you have shelter, you have water, and a lot of times here in America, you always have those things, even if you're not making a lot of money. I feel like those things are always kind of met, like having those kind of things. But in Mexico, for example, you don't have water every day. Like some people think that the tanks, they have to fill them
Yeah.
up because water's not every day. Gas is not as easy accessible for them to even cook, or even to heat up the water.
Hot
You have to
water, put it on
shower
the
and cold.
stove.
You have to put it in the stove.
Yeah.
When it's cold, you have to put hot water on the freaking
Do it.
on the stove. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck, I
yeah.
don't know. I lost it.
Boil up the water on the
We'll have the
stove.
water to heat up the house because
Mix it
it's
in the
super cold
bucket.
outside and
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, it's just these things and that's just not from the experience we have there, but there's people that have it worse. But as long as we have that shelter, I think that's all that matters. Shelter, food, and water. Your family,
Good
your
family, man. That's
inner family,
that's
and
so
just
huge.
that's something I realized more, and I think a lot of people realized more during those 2 years that we were just at home. It's like everything got canceled. Sports were canceled. Entertainment industry was canceled. Just everything, concerts, any outdoor venues. Like you were like, oh no, just your home with
Yeah.
your family, and then it's like, oh shit, then everything's kind of a distraction. You don't really need all that
Yeah.
bullshit. You're stressed, or you get FOMO because you couldn't go to a thing. You pull up Instagram and someone's at the beach. You're like, damn, I should have been at the beach. Or you pull up Instagram and it's like someone's at a UFC fight or a concert or an
Yeah.
NFL game, and it's like it's just part of the consumerism. We're in a consumerism world.
Yeah, it's hard to stay
You
stay out
forget
of
you
it.
forget about the core.
Yeah.
We
I
gotta-
feel like I think I don't really watch too much TV or much like that. I don't even have a TV in my living room, so I kind of just zone that out. Get my news through news sources and everything, and yeah, kind of stay away from the commercial side of life as much as possible, because I think it really does affect the way you think, like you're saying, right? If you're seeing all those things, you're wanting and wanting and wanting more. And I was like, I don't want nothing. Just want to chill. Put some music on, hang out, take care of what I got to take care of, and
What kind of music do you like?
studying.
What kind of music you listening to right now?
Right now I go back and forth, like rap and reggae mostly, hip hop, reggae for the most part. Maybe a little bit like rock stuff here and there. Like a lot of like older rock, Jimi Hendrix type of stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix and Bob Marley are one of my two favorites probably right now.
Yeah, just chill music. Dude, you don't like corridos and shit?
I'll listen to it if like other people are throwing it on or something, but I don't really. Yeah, it's not on my playlist. Yeah, but like I
Yeah.
enjoy. I mean, you saw me at Coachella. I was like everywhere. I was in Yuma 10 even. Like check it out. I enjoy
Yeah.
whatever my friends are listening to or whatever it is. But for me, mostly like to me, like that kind of music is just very inspirational, right? Back in those days of '70s and everything. It's just a lot of messaging in there, good messaging, positive messaging, and ways of thinking about things.
Yeah,
You don't see that in rap these days.
Well, yeah, it's just like the further back we go, it's like it's more human. The topics,
Yeah.
everything. Now it's like people are rapping, and the things that they mention is like they talk about these like brands, like wearing a Louis this or
Yeah.
Gucci that, and they're talking about all these modern, consumer again back to the
Yeah.
consumerism, and that's what they rap about, and driving these cars and flying these
It's a
jets,
vicious
and
cycle.
it's just crazy, bro. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We're apes. Let's go back to nature, dog.
I
Plant
like
more trees.
I like
Live out the
Bob,
tree.
Bob Marley has a lot of political messaging.
Yeah.
People don't really know that, but when you go back and listen to it, it's a lot of very political, like motivational stuff like that. And then with Jimi Hendrix, like so spiritual and like looking in, and telling all these stories and everything. So yeah, I really like that era of music a lot.
Yeah, storytelling.
Yep.
It's all about the story you tell. So Oscar, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to talk about?
The power rates are gonna go up and get rid. Nah, I'm just kidding. Just want to let everybody know ahead of time. I'm just kidding. Oh man, I just really appreciate the opportunity to be in this position, and I really appreciate all the feedback that we get from residents, all the help that's been coming in. You know how many people we got around us, like
Yeah.
helping us all the time, and to be able to learn all this stuff, like so many good mentors out here in the community that have helped me out, and even people that even told me that I could run, right? Like that wasn't even my idea. It was community people that came in and said, "Hey, you're already studying this. You're smart enough to do it. Like, just go for it." So, just really thankful for my community and to be here and having fun, trying to be a good representative here.
Awesome,
Yeah.
bro. Well, yeah, we'll be keeping in touch, and definitely trying to help you bring more awareness to the community. So thank you for your time, bro, and I want to have you back again.
Cool.
Hopefully not
next week.
Next
week.
I'm
just kidding.
weekly segment with Oscar. But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, follow Oscar, put the links in the description. You guys stay up to date with what's going on with the city. Yeah. We gotta work with each other, to make it better for everybody.
I'm gonna do a podcast all about plants, and you can come on there.
Hell yeah, I'm down. Say less.